Okay, another day. Now, it is my intent today to try and get some more of the small pieces on our boats. You know, like the rudders and propellers and one of these, I forget which one it is now, it requires two propeller shafts and what have you. Now, I did come back to the model table last night, but all I did was I worked with the panel line color. I added some more to every single one. Now, some of them, like I was noticing this one, I was looking at it this morning, I can't really see where, maybe I should give it another coat, I don't know. But then there were others that the panel line color actually came out quite well. At least it made a bit of a difference. It doesn't look so, I don't know, clean. Yeah. Now, one of the viewers was talking about paint retarder. And so I checked, and I knew I had some, but I couldn't remember which one it was that I had, because I vaguely remembered buying the Vallejo paint retarder. And but he was referring to the Tamiya, and yeah, I've got the exact stuff, and I know I have tried it in the past, but it's a long time ago. And you remember yesterday I was talking about my little brush. It was drying out on me. I take a tiny little sample, and then it was just making it hard to try and paint these little tiny protrusions, which turned out to be a bit of a fiasco, and I'm not going to be doing that on any of the rest of them. I'm just going to stick with the panel line color. Anyway, I just wanted to experiment here. As far as I know, you can reduce this down up to 10 to 1. In other words, you'd have 10 times 10 drops of paint and 1 drop of retarder. Now, it's been my experience that if the paint is real thick, not real thick, but I mean if the paint is thicker than the retarder, the drop is going to be larger or heavier and greater in volume than the drop of the retarder, which might be quite watery. But if you weigh it, you can't go wrong. Now this little scale here will weigh something up to 1/1000th of a gram. It won't weigh something that only weighs 1/1000th of a gram. I think it has to be as much as 7/1000ths of a gram before it actually starts to read. But it will measure the difference between something that is, say, 10,000ths of a gram and something that's 11,000ths of a gram. Okay, I'm getting into details that you don't need to know here. Let's just, for the fun of it, mix ourselves up some. We'll take the 77 here, and we'll make it 10 to 1, and we'll just sort of experiment with it. I mean, I like to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've got to find a little tiny container now, because once I've mixed it up, we're going to be throwing it out. Maybe one of those, I can't remember the name of it, but you'll see it. I had actually woke up a little earlier than the time you see stamped in the upper right-hand side of the screen there. And at that time, there was a little rabbit out there checking out the pad, and there was no carrots on it. Well, I put fresh carrots out. And later I noticed that the sunrise looked promising. So I adjusted the pan tilt zoom over to the bridge, and yeah, I don't know how it's going to go here. At this moment, the laptop is adjusting our video into time-lapse. I don't know if it's going to be done by post time tonight, but we'll see what happens. I'll do my best. It looks like it might make a really nice time-lapse. Now, I am not sure about the background music that I dubbed in there for the sunrise. That might not be what I end up using later today. But there's only so much free royalty-free music that you can use. The really good stuff you got to pay for. So you got to take what you can get, and it's sort of like, is anything better than nothing? Well, maybe sometimes nothing is better than what I use. Maybe this is one of those cases, I don't know. Anyway, let's hope now that this is not going to be another one of my sort of botched up experiments. Okay, it's at 0. It's 0.000, so that's a thousandth of a gram. Now, this is so sensitive that if I blow down on it, it'll change it. You watch. All I did was just blow on it. Okay, now we want to zero it again. All right, now I don't care if I get retarder in the paint, but I do care if I get paint in the retarder. So we'll sample from the retarder first, and that way I don't have to clean out my pipette. Okay. Now let's just see how it could be that this pipette thing is, it might be too small. But let's just put in a drop and see what we got here. Okay, let's put in 2 drops. Okay, so we got 45 thousandths of a gram there. So if we want 10 times as much, we should bring it up to, if we bring it up to 450 thousandths of a gram, that will be probably about 9 to 1 instead of 10 to 1, or would it be 11 to 1? Anyway, it's going to be close enough. Remember, notice I put it down the right way. Okay, here we go. And we want to get as close as we can to 450. Okay, that's 458. I think that's probably pretty close. That's pretty close to 10 to 1. All right, now I should have got myself a glass of water or something to put this in, because it's going to be hard to clean out if I don't do it right away afterwards. Okay. Now, the experiment is to see if we can notice if it's going to stay, if it's not going to dry on the brush. Hey, I just thought of something here. Bear with me. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea. Could be that this is actually turning too slow to do that. And there's no little agitator on the end of my toothpick, but well, the thought was there anyway. just looked into my monitor, I had the sudden thought that I didn't push record, and I'm doing all of this for nothing. I don't know if I bother redoing it or not. It does seem to me to be of a different consistency, but maybe it's my imagination. Maybe I'm just looking for something. It seems to be a little thinner. All right. Now let's get a piece of plastic here. Okay. Once again, it's really good that I can cut out the dead spots here. Couldn't remember where I put this thing. This is the thing we do our samples on. All right, I'm going to just recompose here. I don't think that this is going to dry out too much in that time. And I'm going to maybe put this in some water. Okay, probably about 3 or 4 minutes has passed here now. And this may not be mixed up as well as it should be. If I had mixed up a larger amount. Okay, now let's just pretend that we want to paint the tops of these. And let's see if I notice if my brush seems to be drying out. I guess if I'm resampling it, I'm sort of, defeating the purpose, aren't I? Because I'm re-wetting the bristles. So, I don't know. Okay, let's just sort of wait a minute here. Move it back and forth in the air. Okay, let's try this one now. Well, I would say yes, the retarder does seem to work because the bristles do not appear to be. I suppose if I had put the macro lens on, maybe I made a mistake there, but you know what? I probably wasted enough time here doing this. I guess the bottom line is I have to remember to use the retarder because I do believe that it probably makes a difference. I think it paints easier too. It's, it's sort of, they wouldn't make it if it didn't work, right? Anyway, let's get on with it here. Find out what photo etch pieces we need and get them nipped off. We need rudders and propellers. But first I got to clean this mess up. Okay, this is boat number 14. It's the very first one we have to do something with in step 63. May as well do these in order. So we'll do the boats that are in 63 first. And I'm a little bit concerned about myself here because a moment ago I pulled out the C fret, forgetting that we'd already removed the rudders and propellers off. So that's good and that's bad. It's good that we don't have to do it, but it's bad that I couldn't remember. Now, I want you to look at these rudders, and you don't have to be a naval architect like the guy that is helping Jason with his Queen Mary II to know that this rudder has been shaped wrong. It would not. They've got it going this way through the water, and they would not have the leading edge of the rudder longer than the trailing edge. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it could all of a sudden sort of dig in, you might say, and flip sideways and break off. Anyway, that's just a minor little detail that nobody's going to notice. Well, mind you, I noticed it, but that's because I'm looking at it up close. Now, as far as the propellers go here, see if I can get one out. I just licked the end of my finger. I know that we've got COVID going on, but I mean, I don't think I'm going to bother trying to. Can you even see it there? Yeah, I got it so that the light's reflecting off of it right now. I don't think I'm going to try to bend a pitch on those blades. Now where is it? Oh, it's still there. There it is. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bother trying to bend a pitch on these blades because I'm probably going to make it look worse than it already is. So we'll just try and see if we can get that little propeller on the propeller shaft that's at the bottom of this boat here. I'll put the macro lens on for that. I realize it's pretty hard to see. Okay, you should be able to see the clock there just in the top of your screen, and time is really fleeting by here. Now, speaking of time, I'm noticing that YouTube is going really slow again. And, well, first of all, I'm just going to do a dry run here. I want to see if this is going to fit. But what I was starting to say is that if you find that those of you who like to start watching the episode as soon as it's available, and there are a few, if you find that the episode is not up, don't panic. It probably will be. Yesterday's was slow uploading, and when it did upload, it started out at 360p instead of the 4K that it usually is. But it did eventually kick into 4K. Okay, enough talk here. I did say I was going to slip on the macro lens. So like I say, I'm just going to do a dry run here. I want to see if this is going to fit. So let's get the macro lens on. Okay, this is actually the first time that I'm going to be trying this. And it is my worry that I may not have got enough of the flashing off of the propeller shaft here. Just turn that just a little bit. And it's not going to slip over. No, it's not going down. Now, I'm planning on using the Revell Contra Professional whatever, and it will dissolve the plastic. Yeah, it almost goes there, but not quite. Whoops, don't worry, I know where it went. It's only about 3 inches away. Okay, let's just sort of recompose here. Alright, now I'm hoping that is going to dissolve the paint and the plastic, and we can just sort of work it on. Yes, we got it. Okay, does it look straight? I guess to go down just a little bit on that blade. Okay, now from my perspective, let me sort of scrunch down here and look at it. Okay, from my perspective, it looks pretty good. Now, my gut reaction is that I want to put a little drop of Revell on the top there, but I think that might end up making it worse. So let's just let that cure, and if I can manage to not bump it, I think it's going to be okay. At least that's the plan. Okay, now our rudder, which, as far as I'm concerned, is definitely shaped wrong. Gotta go like that. No, it's okay, I know where it went. Alright here. What time we got? 28 minutes after 1, and I gotta do the time lapse yet. Alright, it could be that the best way to do this would be to let it hang on this part that's hooking in there, and just let it sort of hang down. Because I think what's going to happen is if I was to put a little bead of glue or something along the edge here where I'm drawing right now, that it's going to just sort of flop over one way or the other and glue itself onto the transom sideways. But you know what, I'm going to call today's video quits, because like I say, I want to work on the time lapse. I realize that there's a lot of people that could say, well, I could care less about your sunrises. I want to watch the building of the boat. But you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. It's fun for me. Anyway, we got the propeller on. I mean, that's a start. I might work on this evening, and I'll just do it off camera and get these things done. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow. Now, if you want to see this morning's sunrise, do not press your stop button yet. It's sped up 46 times. 46 so that it matches up with the music that I selected. I've used this music before. It's nice. It sort of matches a little better than that music that was playing earlier. Anyway, enjoy.